The champagne flute slipped from Sophia Chen's fingers, shattering against the marble floor of the Metropolitan Museum's north wing. She barely heard the sound over the roar of blood pounding in her ears as she stared at the body sprawled across the Rothko exhibit. Senator William Hartley lay face down in a pool of crimson that seemed to mirror the abstract painting behind him. His silver hair was matted with blood, and his hand was outstretched toward her, or so it would appear to anyone who walked in. "No," Sophia whispered, her voice catching. No. She'd only stepped away from the gala for 10 minutes. 10 minutes to escape the suffocating small talk and fake smiles, to find a quiet corner where she could breathe. The north wing was supposed to be closed for renovations. Empty, safe. Now she stood 3 feet from a dead senator with his blood on her Louboutins. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Asterisk. Stay exactly where you are. Don't touch anything. Don't run. I'm coming. Asterisk. Before she could process the message, footsteps echoed down the hallway. Multiple sets, moving fast. "Ma'am, step away from the body." A security guard burst through the entrance, hand on his holster. 2 more guards flanked him, their faces hardening as they took in the scene. Sophia raised her hands instinctively, her mind spinning. I just found him. I swear, I just walked in and... Don't move. The guard's radio crackled to life. "We need police at the north wing immediately. Possible homicide. Suspect contained." Suspect. The word hit her like a physical blow. "You don't understand," Sophia said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "I'm Sophia Chen. I'm here for the Mercer Foundation Gala. I'm a guest. I didn't do this." But even as she spoke, she could see how it looked. Her fingerprints on the champagne glass, her shoes marked with blood, no witnesses, no alibi. The lead guard spoke into his radio again, his eyes never leaving her. Subject is Sophia Chen. Asian female, late 20s, wearing a gold evening gown. Matches the description. Matches what description? Ice flooded Sophia's veins. This wasn't random. Someone had planned this. Someone had set her up. "I need to call my lawyer," she said, her voice shaking now despite her efforts to control it. "You'll get your phone call at the precinct, ma'am. Right now you need to..." The lights went out. Sophia heard the guards curse, saw the flash of their phones illuminating the darkness. Then a new voice cut through the chaos, smooth and commanding with a hint of an accent she couldn't quite place. "Gentlemen, I believe there's been a misunderstanding." The emergency lights flickered on, casting everything in an eerie red glow. A man stood in the doorway, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a perfectly tailored Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than Sophia's car. His dark hair was swept back, revealing sharp cheekbones and eyes the color of smoke. He moved with the fluid confidence of someone who'd never been told no in his life. More importantly, he moved like a predator. "Who the hell are you?" the lead guard demanded. The man smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Dante Moretti. I'm Miss Chen's attorney." Sophia's breath caught. Moretti. She knew that name. Everyone in New York knew that name, even if they pretended not to. The Moretti family owned half of Manhattan, the legal half. Rumors suggested they owned even more of the other half. She didn't mention having counsel present. The guard said suspiciously. "I'm mentioning it now," Sophia interjected, her survival instincts finally kicking in. She had no idea who this man really was or why he was helping her, but right now he was the only thing standing between her and a murder charge. Dante Moretti's gaze shifted to her, and for a moment, Sophia felt like he could see straight through her. Then his expression softened almost imperceptibly. "Miss Chen is obviously in shock," he said, addressing the guards while moving to position himself between them and Sophia. "She's the one who discovered the body and immediately alerted security. I suggest you focus on securing the crime scene rather than traumatizing a witness." "She's not just a witness," the guard protested. You have nothing," Dante said, his voice dropping to a dangerous pitch. "No weapon, no motive, no actual evidence linking my client to this crime. What you do have is a high-profile murder at a high-profile event, which means the real killer is likely still in this building. Now, are you going to do your jobs, or do I need to call Police Commissioner Walsh myself?" I'm sure he'd love to hear how his security team harassed an innocent woman while the actual perpetrator escaped. The guards exchanged uncertain glances. The lead one spoke into his radio again, and Sophia caught fragments of the conversation. Civilian attorney, Moretti. Yes, that Moretti. Holding. Position. Dante turned to Sophia, his expression unreadable. When he spoke, his voice was low enough that only she could hear. Are you hurt? She shook her head, not trusting her voice. Good. When the police arrive, say nothing. Not without me present. Understand? Why are you helping me? The question tumbled out before she could stop it. Something flickered in those smoke-gray eyes. Because, Miss Chen, someone is going to great lengths to destroy you. And I'd like to know why. Before Sophia could respond, sirens wailed outside. Within minutes, the North Wing was swarming with NYPD officers, crime scene techs, and detectives. Dante remained at her side like a shadow, deflecting questions with the ease of someone who'd done this countless times before. Detective Maria Santos arrived 20 minutes later, her sharp eyes taking in every detail of the scene. She was a veteran, Sophia could tell from the way she moved, the way she assessed everything with the cold calculation of someone who'd seen the worst humanity had to offer. Miss Chen, Santos said, her voice surprisingly gentle. I'm Detective Santos. I need to ask you some questions. My client will cooperate fully, Dante interjected smoothly. At the precinct, with proper protocols in place. Santos's gaze flicked to him, and something passed between them recognition, maybe even respect. Mr. Moretti. Didn't expect to see you here. I'm full of surprises. Apparently, Santos turned back to Sophia. For the record, can you tell me why you were in a closed section of the museum? Sophia glanced at Dante, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. I needed air, she said carefully. The gala was crowded, and I get anxious in crowds. I've been coming to this museum since I was a child. I knew the North Wing. I thought it would be empty. I didn't know. Her voice broke. I didn't know he was here. Did you know Senator Hartley? Only by reputation. We'd never met. Santos made a note. What time did you leave the main gala? Around 9:45, I think. Maybe 9:50. And you discovered the body at what time? I don't know exactly. Maybe 10 minutes later? I wasn't checking my watch. Did you see anyone else in this wing? Hear anything unusual? Sophia closed her eyes, trying to remember. The hallway had been dark, quiet. She'd been relieved to escape the noise. But now, forcing herself to think back. There was a door closing, she said slowly. When I first entered the wing, I thought it was just the wind or a security guard making rounds, but it was behind me, near the service entrance. Santos's eyes sharpened. Which entrance exactly? The one near the loading dock? On the east side, 2 officers were immediately dispatched to check the area. Santos continued her questioning, but Dante interjected before things could go further. Detective, my client has been cooperative. She's clearly traumatized. Unless you're planning to charge her with something, I think it's time we concluded this interview. Santos studied them both for a long moment. We'll need Miss Chen to come to the precinct tomorrow for a formal statement. Of course, I'll have her there at 10 a.m. As Santos turned away to confer with her team, Sophia felt her knees go weak. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving exhaustion and disbelief in its wake. Dante's hand appeared at her elbow, steadying her. Come on, he murmured. Let's get you out of here. I can't just leave, she protested weakly. There are procedures. I'm the procedure. His grip was firm but gentle as he guided her toward the exit. You're a witness, not a suspect. You're free to go. The gala had been evacuated, but a crowd of reporters had gathered outside the museum, their cameras flashing like lightning as Sophia and Dante emerged. Questions pelted them from every direction. Miss Chen, did you kill Senator Hartley? What's your relationship with the victim? Mr. Moretti, is it true you're representing the prime suspect? Dante moved with practiced efficiency, shielding Sophia from the cameras as he navigated them toward a black SUV idling at the curb. The driver, a mountain of a man with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, opened the door without a word. Sophia collapsed into the leather seat, her whole body trembling. Dante slid in beside her and the door closed, muffling the chaos outside. "Luca, drive," Dante ordered. The SUV pulled smoothly into traffic. Sophia stared at her hands. They were shaking. "This isn't real," she whispered. "This can't be real." "Unfortunately, it is." Dante pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. "But you're not going to face it alone." She turned to look at him. Really look at him. Even in the dim light of the SUV, he was striking all sharp angles and controlled power. But there was something else in his expression now, something that looked almost like fury. "Why?" she asked. "Again, you don't know me. Why would you help me?" Dante's jaw tightened. He was silent for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. "Then, because 15 minutes before you found that body, I received a photograph on my personal phone. A photograph of you standing over Senator Hartley's corpse. With a message, 'She's next.'" Sophia's blood turned to ice. "Someone sent you that?" Before you even discovered the body." "Yes." His eyes met hers, and there was something dangerous burning in their depths. "Someone orchestrated this, Miss Chen. They knew exactly where you'd be, when you'd be there, and how to frame you for murder. This wasn't random, this was targeted. But why? I'm nobody. I'm just a financial analyst. I don't have enemies. Everyone has enemies." Dante interrupted quietly. "The question is, whose enemy are you without knowing it?" The SUV turned onto Fifth Avenue, the city lights blurring past the window. Sophia's mind raced, trying to make sense of the impossible. "The photograph," she said suddenly. "If you have proof that someone set this up, can't you just show it to the police?" "I wish it were that simple." Dante's expression darkened. The message came from an encrypted number, untraceable, and the photograph itself creates as many questions as it answers. "Why send it to me? Why warn me about you specifically? Do you think—" Sophia swallowed hard. "Do you think someone's trying to send you a message, using me?" "That's exactly what I think." He turned to face her fully. "Which means you're either connected to something much bigger than you realize, or someone believes you are. Either way, Miss Chen, your life just became very complicated." The SUV pulled up in front of a luxury high-rise in Tribeca. Sophia recognized the building. It had been featured in Architectural Digest last year. Penthouses started at 15 million. "Where are we?" she asked. "Somewhere safe." Dante opened his door. "You can't go home tonight. If someone went to this much trouble to frame you, they're not done. Your apartment is the first place they'll look." Fear spiked through her. "My cat. I have a cat, Miso. I'll send someone to get her. What else do you need?" Sophia's thoughts felt scattered, fragmented. "Clothes. My laptop. My phone charger. I'll have everything brought here." Dante extended his hand to help her from the SUV, "But right now, you need to rest. Tomorrow, we start figuring out who did this, and why." She followed him into the building in a daze, through a lobby that looked like it belonged in a museum itself, asked a doorman who nodded respectfully at Dante without question. The private elevator required a key card, which Dante produced from his wallet. "This is your building?" Sophia asked as the elevator climbed. "One of them?" "Of course." Because apparently, her life had gone from normal to completely insane in the span of an hour. The penthouse was exactly what she'd expect: floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the city, minimalist furniture that probably cost more than her annual salary, art that might be original Pollux for all she knew. But it felt oddly empty, more like a showroom than a home. "Guest room is through there," Dante said, gesturing down a hallway. "Bathrooms attached. Everything you need should be stocked." Sophia stood in the middle of the massive living room, still trying to process. "I should call someone. My parents, they'll be worried when they see the news. No calls. Not yet." Dante's voice was firm. "Your phone's likely compromised. Mine too, probably. We'll get you a clean device tomorrow." The reality of her situation crashed over her like a wave. Someone had murdered a senator. Someone had framed her for it. And now she was in a stranger's penthouse, dependent on a man she knew only by reputation, a reputation that included words like dangerous and ruthless and not to be crossed. She must have swayed because suddenly Dante was there, his hands on her shoulders, steadying her. "Hey," he said, and his voice was surprisingly gentle. "You're in shock. It's normal. But I need you to focus, Sophia. Can you do that?" She nodded, even though she felt anything but focused. "Good. First things first. You didn't kill anyone. We know that. The police will figure that out eventually. But eventually might be too late if whoever did this decides to tie up loose ends. So for now, you stay here where it's secure. You don't talk to anyone without me present. And you trust absolutely no one. Understand? Not even you?" The question came out barely above a whisper. Something flashed across Dante's face, surprise, maybe even hurt. But it was gone so quickly she might have imagined it. "Especially not me," he said. "I'm a Moretti, Sophia. That means I'm dangerous by definition. But for whatever it's worth," he paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "I didn't come to that museum tonight by accident. I came because someone wanted me to find you standing over that body. Someone is playing a game, and we're both pieces on the board. The only way we survive is if we figure out the rules before the next move." He released her shoulders and stepped back, putting professional distance between them once more. "Get some rest," he said. "We have a long day ahead of us tomorrow." Sophia watched him disappear into what she assumed was his own room. And suddenly she was alone in a stranger's home with a dead senator's blood still on her shoes and a murder charge hanging over her head like a guillotine. She made her way to the guest room on autopilot. It was beautiful, all soft grays and whites, with a bed that looked like clouds. The bathroom was stocked with luxury products, just as Dante had promised, everything perfect and impersonal. Sophia caught sight of herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. Her upswept hair had come loose, dark strands framing her face. Her makeup was smudged, mascara tracking down her cheeks like she'd been crying, though she couldn't remember when. And her eyes looked haunted. She stripped off the gold evening gown, watching as it pooled on the floor. Evidence. Everything was evidence now. She stepped into the shower and let the hot water wash away the blood, the champagne, the feeling of Senator Hartley's dead eyes staring at nothing. But it couldn't wash away the questions. Who would want to frame her for murder? She was nobody, just a mid-level analyst at a medium-sized investment firm. She had no connection to Senator Hartley, no political ambitions, no enemies that she knew of. Her life was boring by design. Safe, predictable, except... Sophia's hand froze on the shampoo bottle as a memory surfaced. 3 weeks ago, she'd been assigned to analyze a series of suspicious transactions for a potential client. Real estate purchases, mostly properties bought through shell companies, money moving through offshore accounts in patterns that set off every red flag in her training. She'd flagged them for her supervisor, Marcus Chen. No relation. Despite the shared last name, Marcus had told her to drop it, said the client was above board, that the transactions were just complex but legal. But Sophia had kept digging on her own time, curious about the patterns, and she'd found something that connected those shell companies to her phone. She'd kept notes on her personal phone. Encrypted files, yes, but still. If someone had access to her phone, they'd know she was investigating. They'd know she was a threat. Sophia finished her shower in a rush, threw on the plush robe hanging on the door, and practically ran back to the living room. Dante was sitting on the couch, still in his suit, but with his tie loosened and top button undone. He had a laptop open and was making notes on a legal pad. He looked up as she entered. "What's wrong?" "I think I know why," she said breathlessly. "I think I know why someone would want to frame me." He set the laptop aside immediately, giving her his full attention. "Talk to me." Sophia sat on the edge of the opposite couch, pulling the robe tighter around herself. 3 weeks ago, I was analyzing transactions for a potential client at my firm. Shell companies buying real estate, the money trail was off. So I dug deeper. And I found connections. Properties being bought in specific neighborhoods, Red Hook, parts of Queens, sections of the Bronx, all areas slated for redevelopment. Someone was buying up properties before the official announcements, which means inside information, Dante finished, potentially from government sources. Exactly. And Senator Hartley was on the Senate Committee for Urban Development. He would have had access to those plans before they went public. Dante's expression had gone very still, very focused. Did you document this? Yes, on my personal phone. Encrypted files. But if someone wanted to silence you and had the means to access your phone, they'd know exactly what you'd found. He stood, began pacing. This makes sense. Frame you for Hartley's murder. If you're convicted, you're discredited. Anything you might have discovered becomes unreliable testimony from a convicted murderer. But who would go to such lengths? And why kill the senator? If he was the one providing the inside information, maybe he got cold feet, Dante said. Maybe he wanted out. Or maybe... He stopped pacing suddenly, turned to face her. Maybe he was going to expose whoever was using him. The implications hung in the air between them. This is bigger than real estate fraud, Sophia whispered. Isn't it? Much bigger. Dante pulled out his phone, a different one than he'd been using earlier. She noticed and dialed a number. Marco, I need you to pull everything you can on Senator William Hartley. Financial records, committee assignments, known associates, everything. And I need it tonight. He paused, listening. I don't care if you have to wake people up. This is priority 1. Another pause. Good. Call me when you have something. He hung up and turned back to Sophia. We need those files from your phone. Can you access them remotely? If my laptop's here, yes. They're synced to my cloud account? I'll have someone get your laptop tonight. In the meantime, he crossed to a cabinet, pulled out another laptop. Use this one. It's clean. Walk me through what you found. For the next hour, Sophia reconstructed her investigation from memory, sketching out the network of shell companies and properties, while Dante asked pointed questions and made notes. He was sharp, she realized. Not just dangerous, genuinely intelligent. He saw connections she'd missed, asked questions that opened new lines of inquiry. Here's what I don't understand, she said finally, rubbing her tired eyes. Even if someone wanted to silence me, why frame me for murder? Why not just make me disappear? The question hung heavy in the air. Dante met her eyes, and in them she saw a truth she wasn't sure she wanted to acknowledge. Because making you disappear would raise questions, he said quietly. But a murder conviction? That's clean, public, final, and it sends a message to anyone else who might be digging into the same connections. What message? That some secrets are worth killing for. A chill ran down Sophia's spine. She wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold despite the warm apartment. Dante's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, his jaw tightening. It's Marco. He found something, he answered, putting it on speaker. What do you have? Boss, you're not going to like this. Marco's voice was tense. Senator Hartley's financials are a mess. He's been hemorrhaging money for the past 6 months. Gambling debts mostly. Underground games in Chinatown. How much? North of 2 million. Dante cursed softly in what might have been Italian. Who does he owe? That's the problem. The games are run by Chen family operations. Sophia's breath caught. The Chen family. One of the oldest organized crime families in New York's Chinatown. And her last name. Marco, Dante said carefully. Run a background check on Sophia Chen. Family connections, everything. Already did, boss. She's clean. Parents immigrated from Taiwan in the 90s. Father's a professor at NYU, mother's a doctor. No mob connections that I can find. Sophia felt a weird sense of relief mixed with offense. Of course, she wasn't connected to organized crime, but apparently, in this world, that needed to be verified. Keep digging, Dante ordered. And find out who specifically Hartley owed money to. Names, amounts, everything. On it. He hung up and turned to Sophia. Your last name? It's common, but in this context, I know, she interrupted. You think someone's trying to make it look like the Chinese mob ordered a hit on Hartley, using me as the fall guy. It would explain why they chose you specifically. Similar last name, Chinese heritage. It creates a narrative. A false narrative. Of course. But that's the point. Dante ran a hand through his hair. Frustration evident. This is sophisticated. Whoever's behind this has resources, intelligence, and connections. They're not just covering their tracks, they're building an entirely false trail. Sophia's phone, the one Dante had given her earlier, buzzed on the coffee table. They both stared at it. "Nobody has this number," Dante said slowly. Sophia picked it up with shaking hands. "Unknown caller." She looked at Dante, who nodded grimly. "He tapped something on his own phone, probably recording the call." She answered, putting it on speaker. "Hello? Sophia Chen?" The voice was electronically distorted, impossible to identify. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for. Who is this?" "Someone who's going to give you one chance to walk away. Stop digging. Accept the narrative. Take a plea deal. You'll be out in 5 years with good behavior." "I didn't kill anyone," Sophia said, her voice steadier than she felt. "No, but you found something you shouldn't have. And now you've involved the Morettis, which complicates things." A pause. "Tell Dante that this isn't his fight. The senator's death clears certain debts. It's balanced." "Walk away." Dante leaned forward, his voice cold as ice. "This is Dante Moretti. You made it my fight when you sent me that photograph. So, here's my counteroffer. Turn yourself in now, and maybe I'll let you live long enough to face trial." Silence. "Then, you're making a mistake, Moretti. This goes higher than you think, higher than both of you. Last warning." The line went dead. Sophia set the phone down with trembling hands. "They found me. Already. How did they—" "They're connected," Dante said grimly. "Someone with access. To systems, to information. Police, maybe. Or government. Hell, could be both." He stood, began pacing again. "But they made a mistake. They warned us." "Which means they're worried. Or they're trying to scare us off." "Same thing." He stopped, turned to face her. "Sophia, you need to understand what you're walking into here. This isn't just corporate fraud. This is organized crime, political corruption, and murder. People who do this kind of thing don't stop until the threat is eliminated. And right now, we're both threats. So what do? Dante's smile was sharp and dangerous. "We do what they don't expect. We go on offense." The next morning arrived with gray skies and a headache that felt like someone was using Sophia's skull as a drum. She'd barely slept, her mind replaying the distorted voice on the phone, the image of Senator Hartley's body, the impossible reality that she was now a murder suspect. When she emerged from the guest room at 7 a.m., Dante was already awake, dressed in a fresh suit, and on his third espresso if the empty cups were any indication. A young woman in business attire sat at the dining table with 3 laptops open in front of her. "Sophia, this is Elena Romano, my chief investigator," Dante said without preamble. "Elena?" "Sophia Chen." Elena looked up, her dark eyes sharp and assessing. She was probably in her early 30s, with her black hair pulled into a severe bun. "Miss Chen, I've been going through your work files. You're thorough. Maybe too thorough for your own good." "Story of my life," Sophia muttered, accepting the coffee Dante handed her. "Your cat is in the second bedroom," he said, "along with clothes from your apartment and your laptop. My people were careful if anyone was watching your place. They didn't notice the retrieval." Sophia felt a rush of gratitude so intense it surprised her. "Thank you." He nodded curtly. "Elena, show her what you found." Elena turned one of the laptops towards Sophia. "The shell companies you identified? They're part of a network that spans 6 states. But the interesting part is this." She pulled up a document. 4 of the properties purchased in New York were done through a company called Pinnacle Holdings. The registered agent is a lawyer named Robert Vance. Sophia frowned. "That name sounds familiar." "It should. He's Senator Hartley's former chief of staff. Left the position 8 months ago to go into private practice, specializing in real estate law." The pieces clicked together in Sophia's mind. So Hartley provides inside information about development plans, Vance sets up the shell companies and purchases the properties, and then someone sells them at a massive profit once the development is announced. Dante finished. Classic insider trading scheme, just with real estate instead of stocks. "But who's the someone?" Sophia asked. "Who's actually making the money?" Elena pulled up another document. "That's where it gets interesting. I traced the ownership structure. Pinnacle Holdings is owned by a parent company called Meridian Investments. Meridian is owned by another shell company in Delaware. That company is owned by one in the Cayman Islands. And that one, she paused for effect. That one is owned by a trust, the beneficiary of which is Michael Hartley. The senator's son, Sophia breathed. Correct. And here's where your Chen family angle comes in. Elena switched screens. Michael Hartley has a business partner in several nightclub ventures. Wanna guess who? Chen family? Specifically Vincent Chen. Second son of Chen Wei, the current head of the Chen family operations in Manhattan. Sophia's head was spinning. So Michael Hartley and Vincent Chen were using the senator to get inside information, making millions on real estate deals. But something went wrong. The senator developed a conscience, Dante said coldly. According to Marco's sources, Hartley was seen meeting with an FBI agent 3 times. In the past month, he was going to turn evidence. So his own son had him killed? Sophia felt sick. Or Vincent Chen did, to protect their operation, Elena suggested. Either way, they needed a fall guy. Someone with the right last name to point fingers at the Chen family while also being disposable enough that no one would look too closely. Me, Sophia said flatly. You! Dante's voice was gentle despite the harsh truth. You were perfect. You'd already found part of the scheme, which made you a threat. And your name created the connection they needed to muddy the waters. If you were convicted, it would look like the Chen family silenced Hartley. Michael Hartley walks away clean, probably even inherits his father's political connections along with the money. Sophia set down her coffee cup before she could throw it. So how do we prove it? We need evidence, Elena said. Specifically, we need to prove that Michael Hartley or Vincent Chen ordered the hit, and we need to prove that you were deliberately framed. The photograph, Sophia said suddenly, turning to Dante. The one sent to your phone. Can we trace it? Already tried. Burner phone, disposed of immediately. He paused. But the fact that it was sent to me specifically is interesting. Someone wanted me involved in this. Who knew you'd be at the museum? Elena asked. No one. I wasn't planning to attend the gala. Sophia's brow furrowed. Then why were you there? Dante exchanged a glance with Elena. Because I received an anonymous tip an hour before the murder. A message saying that something was going to happen at the museum and that I needed to be there. No other details. Someone wanted you to save me, Sophia said slowly. But why? That, Dante said, is the question that's been keeping me up all night. Someone is playing both sides here. They set you up for murder, but they also ensured you'd have high-powered legal representation. It doesn't make sense. Unless, Sophia thought, there was something else going on. Some larger game where both she and Dante were pieces, not players. Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her expression darkening. We have a problem. Detective Santos just issued a warrant for Sophia's arrest. Official charge is second-degree murder. The coffee turned to acid in Sophia's stomach. Already? They found a weapon, Elena said, reading from her screen. A letter opener from the museum's gift shop. Your fingerprints are on it. That's impossible, Sophia protested. I've never even been to the gift shop. Doesn't matter. Someone put your prints on that letter opener, probably using a transfer technique. It's sophisticated but doable. Dante's jaw tightened. How long do we have? They're probably en route now, maybe 30 minutes. He nodded sharply. Elena, pack up everything. We're moving to the safe house. Sophia, get dressed. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Wait, Sophia said. If I run, it makes me look guilty. If you don't run, you'll be in custody while they build their fake case against you, Dante countered. In jail, you're vulnerable. Someone could easily arrange an accident. Out here, we can fight. This is insane, Sophia whispered, but she was already moving toward the bedroom. I'm not a fugitive. I'm an accountant. You're whatever you need to be to survive, Dante called after her. Now move. 10 minutes later, they were in a different SUV, this one a nondescript gray sedan that looked like 1,000 others in the city, heading north on the FDR Drive. Sophia sat in the back with her laptop and a bag containing her cat, who was surprisingly calm about the whole situation. Dante drove while Elena rode shotgun, monitoring police channels on a scanner. They've just arrived at the penthouse, Elena reported. Santos doesn't sound happy. She'll get over it, Dante muttered. Sophia stared out the window at the city sliding past. Somewhere out there, people were going about their normal 25 to the down lives. Getting coffee, going to work, not running from murder charges. Where are we going? She asked. Property in Westchester, Dante replied. Off the books. No one knows about it except my inner circle. And how do I know your inner circle isn't compromised? You don't, he said bluntly. But right now, I'm all you've got. They drove in silence for a while, leaving the city behind for the wooded suburbs of Westchester County. The safe house turned out to be a sprawling estate hidden behind high walls and dense trees. Security cameras dotted the perimeter, and Sophia spotted at least 2 armed guards as they pulled through the gates. Subtle, she remarked. Safe, Dante corrected. Inside, the house was surprisingly warm, all exposed beams and fireplaces, more mountain lodge than mob safe house. Elena immediately set up her laptops in what looked like a library, while Dante showed Sophia to a bedroom upstairs. Stay away from windows, he instructed. Don't make any calls. Don't access your personal accounts. Assume everything digital is compromised. So, I'm just supposed to hide here while my life falls apart? Dante turned to face her, and for the first time, she saw something like sympathy in his eyes. I know this isn't what you wanted, but we're past the point of comfortable choices. Right now, we focus on one thing, finding proof that Michael Hartley and Vincent Chen are behind this. Everything else is secondary. And if we can't find proof, then we create leverage. Make them come to us. How? His smile was sharp. By doing what they least expect, we kidnap Vincent Chen. Sophia stared at him. You can't be serious. Completely serious. He's the weak link. Michael Hartley has political connections, resources, and probably an alibi. But Vincent Chen? He's a thug in an expensive suit. Pressure him right, and he'll crack. That's insane. And illegal. So is framing someone for murder. Dante's voice was hard. This isn't a courtroom, Sophia. These people don't play by rules. If we want to survive, neither can we. I'm not a criminal, she said desperately. No. But you're connected to one now. He gestured to himself. My family has been operating in the gray areas of the law for 3 generations. I know how to fight dirty. And right now, that's exactly what you need. Sophia sank onto the bed, her mind reeling. Everything she'd built her career, her reputation, her carefully structured life was crumbling. And the only person offering to help was a man whose very name was synonymous with organized crime. Why are you really doing this? She asked quietly. Don't say it's because of the photograph. There's something else. Dante was silent for a long moment. Then he sat down on the chair across from her, his elbows on his knees. 5 years ago, he said slowly, my younger sister was framed for a crime she didn't commit. Drug trafficking. Someone planted evidence in her apartment, set her up perfectly. She insisted. She was innocent, but no one believed her. No one except me. His voice went cold. She hanged herself in her cell 3 weeks before her trial. Sophia's breath caught. Dante, I found out later that she'd been set up by a rival family. They wanted leverage against my father, and she was the easiest target. By the time I figured it out, it was too late. He looked up and his eyes were haunted. I swore I'd never let it happen again. That if I ever saw someone being framed, someone innocent being destroyed by lies and planted evidence, I'd do everything in my power to stop it. I'm sorry, Sophia whispered. Don't be sorry, just let me help you. She nodded, not trusting her voice. Dante stood. Rest. We move tonight. After he left, Sophia lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Miso curled up beside her, purring softly. For a moment, she let herself imagine that this was all a nightmare, that she'd wake up in her own apartment with nothing more serious to worry about than quarterly reports and whether to order Thai or Indian for dinner. But the weight of reality pressed down on her, suffocating and inescapable. That evening, Dante laid out the plan. Vincent Chen frequented a nightclub in the meatpacking district, ironically, one of the clubs he co-owned with Michael Hartley. He typically arrived around midnight with minimal security, arrogant in his assumption that no one would dare touch him on his own territory. We grab him from the VIP parking area, Dante explained, pointing to a layout Elena had pulled up. Quick and clean. Elena will handle security cameras. Marco and his team will provide extraction. We'll have him at a secondary location before anyone realizes he's gone. And then what? Sophia asked. Then we make him tell us everything. Who ordered the hit on Hartley? Who planted the evidence? Who's really pulling the strings? What if he doesn't talk? Dante's smile was cold. He'll talk. At 11 p.m., they loaded into 2 vehicles. Sophia rode with Dante while Elena coordinated from the safe house. The city at night felt different, more dangerous, more alive with possibility and threat. You should stay in the car, Dante said as they approached the club. Not a chance. This is my life we're fighting for. He glanced at her, seemed about to argue, then nodded. Stay behind me. Do exactly what I say, and if shooting starts, you hit the ground and don't move until I tell you. Clear? Crystal. The VIP lot was exactly where Elena's intel said it would be, a small, gated area behind the club with spaces for about 10 cars. Vincent Chen's black Maserati was easy to spot. So was Vincent himself, currently leaning against the hood while smoking and checking his phone. He's alone. Marco's voice crackled over the radio. No security visible. Too easy, Dante muttered. I don't like it. We don't have a choice, Sophia whispered. They moved quickly, Dante in front and 2 of Marco's men flanking them. Vincent didn't look up until they were 10 feet away. When he did, his expression went from confusion to recognition to fear in rapid succession. Moretti, he said, dropping his cigarette. What the hell are you doing here? Vincent Chen, we need to talk. I've got nothing to say to you. Dante pulled out a gun Sophia hadn't even realized he was armed and aimed it casually at Vincent's chest. I disagree. Vincent's hands went up. You're making a huge mistake. My father. Your father isn't here. It's just you, me, and some very serious questions about Senator Hartley's murder. Something flickered across Vincent's face. Not fear, confusion. Hartley? He said. What does that have to do with quote? He stopped, his eyes going wide. Oh, shit. You think I... He actually laughed, high and slightly hysterical. You think I killed Hartley? You and Michael Hartley had a very profitable arrangement, Dante said coldly, until the senator grew a conscience. So you eliminated the problem, and framed an innocent woman for it. I didn't. Vincent shook his head frantically. Michael, yeah, okay, we had business together, the real estate thing. But I didn't kill anyone, and I sure as hell didn't frame anyone. You're lying. I'm not, Vincent's voice cracked. Look, I knew about the senator cooperating with the FBI. Michael was freaking out about it. But before we could figure out what to do, Hartley was already dead. We thought... He stopped. Thought what? Sophia stepped forward, ignoring Dante's warning look. Vincent's eyes fixed on her, widening. You're the girl? The one they arrested. The one they framed, she corrected. I swear it wasn't us. When we heard about the murder, we thought, maybe... He swallowed hard. We thought maybe one of the other families got to him first. There were a lot of people who wanted Hartley dead. Name them, Dante demanded. But before Vincent could answer, headlights flooded the parking lot. A black SUV screeched to a stop, and 6 men poured out, all armed. Vincent Chen, a voice called out. Step away from the car. FBI, Vincent whispered, his face going white. Everything happened at once, Marco shouted a warning. Dante grabbed Sophia and pulled her behind a car. The FBI agents advanced with weapons drawn. And then the shooting started. It came from behind them, not from the FBI, but from somewhere in the darkness of the parking lot. Silenced shots that took down 2 of the FBI agents before anyone could react. Ambush! Dante roared. Move, move. He dragged Sophia toward their vehicle, while Marco and his men returned fire. She caught a glimpse of Vincent Chen diving behind his Maserati. Then the world dissolved into chaos, gunfire, shouting, "The smell of cordite!" Dante shoved her into the passenger seat and gunned the engine. Bullets punched through the rear windshield as they fishtailed out of the parking lot. "What the hell just happened?" Sophia gasped, her ears ringing. "We walked into a setup," Dante said grimly, weaving through traffic at terrifying speeds. "Someone knew we'd come for Vincent, and they wanted all of us in one place. The FBI. Weren't FBI. Professional hitters using FBI identification." He cursed in Italian. "This is bigger than we thought." His phone rang. Elena's voice came through the speakers. "Dante, we have a problem. I just got word Detective Santos was shot 20 minutes ago. Drive-by shooting outside her apartment. She's in critical condition." Sophia felt the blood drain from her face. "They're killing everyone connected to the investigation." "Not everyone," Dante said quietly. "Just the people who might actually solve it." They drove in silence for a while, taking a winding route through the city to ensure they weren't followed. Finally, Dante pulled into an underground parking garage in Midtown. "We can't go back to the safe house," he said. "They'll know about it now." "We need a new plan." "I have one," Sophia said suddenly. He turned to look at her. "I'm listening. Michael Hartley, he's the key to all of this. His father's dead, his business partner is probably dead after tonight, and the investigation is falling apart. He thinks he's won. And that makes him vulnerable. Arrogant." Sophia's mind was racing, pieces clicking together. "We can't prove he ordered his father's murder. We don't have evidence. And anyone who might have talked is being eliminated. But we don't need to prove it." Dante's eyes narrowed. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we make him confess. Record it. Get him to say enough that we can destroy his political ambitions and his freedom in one stroke." "How?" Sophia smiled, and it felt strange on her face, cold, calculating, nothing like her usual expressions. Maybe some of Dante's ruthlessness was rubbing off. "We give him what he wants," she said. "We give him me." The plan was insane, suicidal, and possibly brilliant. At least, that's what Elena said when Dante explained it to her 3 hours later in a dingy motel room in Queens. "You want to use Sophia as bait?" Elena summarized, her expression skeptical. "Deliver her directly to Michael Hartley and hope he's stupid enough to confess before killing her." "Not hope," Sophia corrected. "Ensure. We control the meeting. I'll be wired. You'll have surveillance on every angle. And Dante will be close enough to intervene if things go wrong." "When things go wrong," Elena muttered. "It could work," Marco said. He'd made it out of the nightclub ambush with only a graze wound on his shoulder, though 2 of his men hadn't been as lucky. Hartley thinks he's untouchable. He's rich, connected, and as far as he knows, his plan worked perfectly. His father's dead, the investigation is compromised, and the scapegoat is on the run. He's probably celebrating, which makes him sloppy, Dante added. Sophia's right. If we can get him talking, get him to admit even part of what he did, we can use it. And if he just shoots her on sight? Elena asked. He won't, Sophia said with more confidence than she felt. He's too smart for that. He'll want to know how I found him, what I know, who I've told. He'll want information before he eliminates the threat. Dante studied her for a long moment. You've changed, he said quietly. I'm learning from you. I'm not sure that's a good thing. Neither am I. But it's necessary. They spent the next day preparing. Elena built a communication system that would allow her to monitor Sophia remotely while also recording everything. Marco researched Michael Hartley's schedule and movements, and Dante taught Sophia how to survive. If he pulls a gun, you go for the inside of his wrist, he demonstrated, moving with fluid precision. Push it away from your body. Never try to grab the barrel. You'll lose fingers. They practiced in the cramped motel room, Sophia learning to block, to strike, to use her smaller size as an advantage, rather than a weakness. You're stronger than you think, Dante said after she successfully broke his hold for the third time. Fear makes people weak, but controlled fear, that's power. Is that what you have? Controlled fear? Always. His smile was grim. Anyone who says they're not afraid in dangerous situations is either lying or stupid. The trick is making fear work for you instead of against you. That night, they made the approach. Michael Hartley was attending a political fundraiser at the plaza, appropriately ironic, given that his father's murder had happened at a similar event. Elena had arranged for a message to be delivered to him, supposedly from Vincent Chen. "She knows everything. Meet me at the construction site. Midnight. Come alone." The construction site was a half-finished luxury development in Long Island City, one of the properties purchased through their shell company scheme. Sophia would be there, waiting. Michael would come, thinking he was meeting his partner to discuss damage control. Instead, he'd walk into a confession. "Last chance to back out," Dante said, as they drove toward the site. Sophia was wired with so many recording devices, she felt like a walking electronics store. Elena and Marco were already in position with long-range surveillance equipment. "I'm not backing out. You're braver than I gave you credit for. I'm terrified," Sophia admitted. "But that man framed me for murder. He killed his own father, and he was willing to let me die to cover his tracks. So, yeah, I'm scared. But I'm also really, really angry." Dante's hand found hers, squeezed briefly. "Anger is good. Use it." They parked 3 blocks away. Sophia would walk in alone. Dante would follow at a distance, ready to intervene. It was midnight when she reached the construction site, a skeletal structure of steel and concrete, dark and echoing. "I'm here," she whispered, knowing Elena could hear her. "Copy that." Elena's voice came through the tiny earpiece. "Hartley just pulled up. Showtime." Sophia positioned herself near the center of the ground floor, where exposed rebar and construction equipment created a maze of shadows. She heard footsteps, saw a flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. "Vincent!" Michael Hartley's voice called out. "Where the hell are you?" "Not Vincent," Sophia said, stepping into view. Michael froze. In his expensive suit and styled hair, he looked like his father, handsome, charismatic, the kind of man people automatically trusted. His expression shifted from confusion to recognition to cold fury in seconds. "You," he breathed. "How are you? You should be in custody." "Disappointing, isn't it? When your perfect frame-up doesn't work?" He pulled a gun from his jacket, and Sophia's heart hammered. Dante had warned her this might happen, had made her practice not flinching. She forced herself to stand still, to look unafraid even as terror screamed through her veins. "Where's Vincent?" Michael demanded. "Dead, probably. Your cleanup crew was very thorough at the nightclub." Something flickered in his eyes, surprise. He hadn't known about the ambush, which meant someone else had orchestrated it. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said carefully. "Don't you? Real estate fraud, insider trading, political corruption. Using your father to get development information, then making millions on properties you bought before the public announcements. It's actually brilliant, if you ignore the whole patricide part." "You can't prove any of that." "Can't I? I have the financial records, the shell company chains, the property purchases, everything I need to connect you to the scheme." "Then why are you here instead of at the FBI?" But his voice wavered slightly. He was wondering the same thing she'd been counting on. What was her angle? "Because the FBI won't help me. Someone's already compromised that investigation." Detective Santos shot, evidence planted, witnesses disappearing. "You've covered your tracks well." Sophia took a careful step forward. "But here's what you didn't count on. You killed a senator. That brings attention. Heat. The kind that doesn't go away just because you framed some nobody accountant." "So what do you want?" "I want you to tell me the truth. Who ordered the hit on your father? You? Vincent Chen? Someone else?" Michael laughed, but it sounded forced. "And why would I tell you anything?" "Because I'm offering you a deal. Tell me everything. Give me proof that Vincent Chen was the one who pulled the trigger, and I'll disappear. Take the evidence with me. You can blame everything on your dead partner and walk away clean." She could see him considering it, weighing the options. In the shadows beyond the construction site, she knew Dante was watching, ready to move. Every word was being recorded. "Vincent didn't kill my father," Michael said finally. "That idiot didn't have the spine for it." "Then who?" "I did." The words hung in the air. Sophia felt a surge of triumph, but Michael wasn't done. "My father was weak. He built this empire of political connections, and then he was going to throw it all away because he suddenly grew a conscience. After 30 years of taking bribes and making deals? Michael's voice rose. He was going to confess to the FBI, destroy everything we'd built, his legacy, my future, all of it gone, because he couldn't handle a little blood on his hands. So you killed him. I eliminated a problem. His gun hand was steadier now, confidence returning. And yes, I framed you. Someone needed to take the fall, and you'd already found enough of our operation that you were a threat anyway. 2 birds, 1 stone. And Vincent? A convenient scapegoat. I made sure there was enough evidence to point toward the Chen family. When Vincent disappeared tonight, unfortunate but necessary, it just adds to the narrative. Sophia's mind raced. He was confessing, but he was too calm, too confident. Because you're not letting me walk out of here, she said quietly. Michael smiled, and it was his father's smile, charming and utterly empty. You were right about one thing. I didn't count on how much attention this would bring, but I've adapted. New plan, you die here, another victim of the Chen family's cleanup operation. Your body won't be found for weeks, and by then, the story will be set. Tragic, really. He raised the gun. Over my dead body? The voice came from behind Michael Dante, stepping out of the shadows with his own weapon drawn. Michael spun, but not fast enough. Dante's shot hit him in the shoulder, sending him sprawling. That was for threatening her. Dante said coldly, This one's for making me listen to your pathetic justifications. He fired again, hitting Michael's gun hand. The weapon skittered across the concrete. Sophia ran forward, kicking it further away. Marco and 2 other men appeared, securing Michael even as he writhed and cursed. Got everything. Elena's voice crackled in Sophia's ear. Crystal clear audio. Video too. This bastard just confessed to everything? Sophia sank to her knees, adrenaline draining away and leaving exhaustion in its wake. Dante was beside her immediately, his hands on her shoulders. You did it, he said softly. It's over. Is it? She looked up at him. Michael said someone else orchestrated the ambush tonight. Someone's still out there. Someone higher up the chain. We'll find them, Dante promised. But right now you're safe, and you're clear. This recording proves everything, the frame-up, the murder, all of it. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Elena had already sent the recording to several news outlets and to the FBI's Internal Affairs Division. By morning, Michael Hartley's confession would be everywhere. Detective Santos, Sophia later learned, survived her shooting and made a full recovery. With Michael Hartley's confession, the case against Sophia was dropped. Immediately. The media had a field day with the story, patricide, political corruption, organized crime, all wrapped up in one sensational package. 3 weeks later, Sophia sat in a coffee shop in Brooklyn, watching the news coverage on her phone. Michael Hartley had been denied bail and was facing life in prison. Vincent Chen had survived the nightclub ambush and was cooperating with authorities in exchange for a reduced sentence. The shell company network had been exposed, leading to investigations of dozens of corrupt officials. Still think you're just an accountant? Sophia looked up to find Dante sliding into the seat across from her. He looked different, somehow less dangerous, more human. Though maybe that was just because she knew him better now. I'm a very brave accountant, she corrected. The bravest. He slid a folder across the table. Job offer. My organization needs someone who can track money trails and isn't afraid of getting their hands dirty. Pays well. Excellent benefits. Occasional life-threatening situations. Sophia opened the folder, scanned the terms, and laughed. You're serious. Always. You have skills, Chen, and you've proven you can handle pressure. Plus. He paused. Plus, I think we work well together. Is that your professional opinion or your personal one? Both. She should say no, should go back to her normal life, her safe career, her carefully structured existence. But that life felt like it belonged to someone else now. Someone who didn't know what it felt like to stare down a killer, to risk everything for the truth, to be truly alive. I'll think about it, she said. Dante smiled a real smile this time, warm and genuine. Take your time. I'll be here. As Sophia walked home that evening, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. She almost deleted it, but something made her open it instead. You won this round. But the game isn't over. Michael Hartley was a pawn. Vincent Chen was a pawn. Even the senator was a pawn. The real players are still on the board, and they're very interested in you now, Miss Chen. Very interested indeed. Sophia stared at the message, her blood running cold. Then, slowly, she forwarded it to Dante with a single line. About that job offer. His reply came instantly. Welcome to the family. Sophia looked up at the New York skyline, the city glittering in the twilight. Somewhere out there, powerful people were playing games with lives and fortunes. And now, whether she'd wanted it or not, she was a player too. She smiled. Let them come.